Apache Junction special meeting for May 15th, 2023 to order, and ask everyone to put their phones on silence. Roll call, please.
Mayor Wilson,
Here.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Present.
Councilmember Cross,
Here.
Councilmember Heck,
Here.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Nesser,
Present.
Councilmember Solar.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. Presentation, discussion, consideration, public hearing of approval of resolution number 2310, adoption of tentative budget for fiscal year 2023-2024. This resolution adopts the tentative budget for fiscal year 2023-2024 and sets a date and time and location for public hearing on final budget adoption and declares an emergency. Bryant.
Thank you, Your Honor. Bryant Powell, City Manager. Tonight is step 2 of the budget process to get a budget adopted. Tonight is the fiscal year 23-24 tentative budget public hearing. I would just like to share a couple of things. This last weekend, the State House, the State Senate, and the Governor signed about an $18 billion budget at the state level that went pretty quick. And we're in the process at the staff level to see what's in there. We continue to watch closely a couple of bills, one related to residential rental sales tax that could hurt our revenue streams. At some point, they're proposing at a future one, not for this budget year. In addition, they're looking at Proposition 400, which has impact to the street and road and freeway system. And then, of course, watching very closely any resurgence, if there is any discussion about local food tax discussion. In addition is the zoning rights bills that are out there, Senate Bill 1131, that would truly impact your ability to zone and decide what your fate of what you want in your city. We have here tonight all of our department directors that can answer questions if any should come up. I'm very grateful to Leslie and her team to get us to this point with the draft balanced budget, to our department directors that are doing a tremendous work in our operations to manage expenditures and to keep expenses as low as possible. So I'll turn it over to Matt, any other items, and then we can turn it to Leslie for the presentation.
Sure, thank you, Brian. Mayor and City Council, 2 weeks ago on May 1st, we had the introductory comments about the budget and the presentation from Leslie Dresch, our finance director. Tonight is your opportunity to ask any additional questions. We wrote up 20-plus questions that you had all asked through the various budget meetings we had, as well as including that public meeting there, and sent that out to you. If approved tonight, the tentative budget would then be publicized in I believe it's the Arizona Republic for 2 weeks before you could consider final adoption at the first meetings in June. That's upon your approval tonight if you do so. It is also an opportunity for a public hearing tonight. We have Leslie here. She can run through the presentation again if you'd all like to, or give just a very high level summary, or if you're ready to ask additional questions or move on to the public hearing, it's totally up to you.
Yeah, I would like to mention in your package tonight, you have a different format of the budget, and it looks like this. This is our fancy, pretty format for submitting to the GFOA, but the Government Finance Officers Association for an award, a budgeting award. What we saw during the work session looked like this. The only change between this and what's in here financially is I added $5.8 million for Community Facility District for Superstition Vistas in case they issue bonds. So that's the only financial change.
And
Your
Mr.
Honor,
Mayor,
where was that in our copy of that? What section was that in?
The work session was,
The one that, on the draft that we had, where did you add that?
oh, all the numbers, whoops, My goodness.
Mr. McNulty?
All the numbers are the same, but it's in a different format. But if you look at the all-page summary, or all-fund summary on page, 25 in the new format, that's the all-fund summary combined. In the old one, it was page 2 in the old version, it was 3 and 4.
And, Mr. Mayor, all these documents are, of course, publicly available on the legislative website. It's apachejunction.legistar.com, and you can find those links on our website as well.
Okay.
Where?
Now, anyone have any questions?
In this section, they just moved it, that's all.
Brian, do you have any questions?
I do not, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I think we've had the opportunity to pour through this pretty well and ask our questions, so I don't have any.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to say that as if you look through the new format, if you have any suggestions or recommendations for future versions, I'm willing to try to incorporate those.
Unless we'll put you to sleep easier.
105 pages.
Okay. Excuse me, I'll open to the public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on this item? And I don't see anybody chomping at the bit to come up forward and talking about it. Okay, I'll close and ask for a motion. Do I have a motion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that resolution number 23-10, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, for the adoption of the tentative budget for the city of Apache Junction, AZ, for the fiscal year 2023-2024, and giving notice of the time and place for hearing taxpayers for the adoption of the final budget and declaring an emergency be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Councilmember Solar,
Approved.
approved.
What-
Okay,
approved.
sorry.
Okay.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Okay, yes, I agree.
Yes.
I agree too.
Councilmember Nesser,
Well, I'll agree too.
Councilmember Cross,
Yes.
Councilmember Heck,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes,
Mayor Wilson,
Yes.
unanimous.
Okay. Presentation, discussion, and public hearing consideration, excuse me, of resolution number 23-09, declaring a public record and adopting certain documents filed by the city clerk entitled City of Apache Junction Civilian Classification and Compensation Plan for Fiscal Year 2023 and 2024, and the City of Apache Junction Recruitment and Sworn Compensation Plan for Fiscal Year 2023 and 24, and declare an emergency. Anna.
Good evening, Council, Mayor and Council. Thank you. Anna McCrae, Human Resources Director. Again, at the same night the budget was discussed 2 weeks ago from today, we also discussed the proposed fiscal year 23-24 classification and compensation plans. We discussed the indexing of the salary tables and the consolidation of those classification and compensation plans from 8 documents down to 3. I'm happy to answer any questions, and if you'd like a brief overview, again, I'm happy to do that as well.
All right, do we have any coming from council? See shaking head and nose. Okay, so I'll open to public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on this item? And again, I see a non-massive run towards it. So I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion. Excuse me. Do I have a motion?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move that the resolution number 23-09, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Apache Junction, Arizona, declaring as a public record and adopting certain documents filed with the city clerk entitled City of Apache Junction Civilian Classification and Compensation Plan for Fiscal Year 2023 through 2024, and City of Apache Junction Recruit and Sworn Compensation Plan for fiscal year 2023 through 2024, and declaring an emergency be approved.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded, roll call?
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember Cross,
Yes.
Councilmember Heck,
Yes.
Councilmember Solar,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you. Presentation, discussion, and consideration and approval, City of Apache Junction's Public Safety Personnel Retirement Systems Pension Fund Policy. Leslie?
Yeah, the pension policy that is on the agenda tonight is required by the state for us to issue every year. This policy differs from previous policy in that it takes into consideration the bond that we issued to pay down the liability. Other than that, it's basically the same policy.
Council, you have any questions? And of course, we've suffering from what the state has done in this aspect on it as well. So, okay. As a public hearing, would anyone like to speak on this from the public? And again, I see a massive running up here again. So I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Your
Your
Honor.
Honor,
Do I have a motion? Yes.
I move that the City of Apache Junction's Public Safety Personnel Retirement System Pension Funding Policy be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, roll call?
Councilmember Solar,
Yes.
Councilmember Nesser,
Yes.
Councilmember Cross,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Yes.
Councilmember Heck,
Yes.
Mayor Wilson.
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Okay, we have no new business, no old business, so I'm going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you. And we'll start the next one in just a minute here. Okay,
Can we bring up the, it's just the budget?
are we all ready?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay. I'd like to call the City of Apache Junction City Council Work Session to order.
I just want to see it.
Roll call?
Mayor Wilson,
Here.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Here.
Councilmember Cross,
Here.
Councilmember Heck,
Here.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Nesser,
Present.
Councilmember Solar.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. Presentation, discussion, and resolution number 23-12, adopting the tentative budgets and estimates assessed for Apache Junction Street Light Improvement Districts for fiscal year 2024. Who's going to?
That's me.
Okay.
Again, this is something that we do every year. This resolution is to adopt and assess for our streetlight districts. It's just the cost of the energy to light those streetlights for each of the districts. It's estimated every year, and after we adopt the budget and assessment, we send that off to the county to collect the taxes to pay for it.
Okay, do we have any discussion from the council?
No.
Okay,
That'll have our lights.
yes, well, streetlights in certain areas of the community.
Yeah, so this is a long-standing practice of our council to help manage costs related to the new growth in the city, growth paying for itself, and it just is like an in and an out, I guess, is that the way to describe it, debit and a credit, where the revenue will come. If you live in one of these areas, you'll see in your property tax an amount that you pay, that the county receives the revenue, but then gets it to finance, to help us pay, so.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I'm assuming any of these streetlight improvements are compliance with our dark sky.
Yeah, so they've all When they came in, they all were compliant with our dark sky ordinance, yeah.
When they came in.
Yeah, so
Did they
that
expire?
changes, so, but yes, we've always had a dark sky ordinance, and they met the dark sky ordinance, yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, do we have to have a motion on this?
Work session, this is just.
Just work session, okay.
Matt, do we know when this is coming back? A couple weeks or 3 weeks?
2 weeks, be on a consent agenda?
It may require a public hearing. I'll have to check, but it'll be on the 2 weeks from tomorrow. It'll either be a consent item or a public hearing item. I don't remember.
All right. Presentation, discussion of fiscal year 2023, 2024, health and human service funding recommendations.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight is the annual presentation from the Health and Human Services Commission on their recommended funding allocation to the local nonprofits that applied for assistance. In your agenda packet, the funding summary summarizes who the applicants are this year, as well as what they requested and what those funds will be used for according to their agency. The comparison table reflects several years' worth of funding requests by the local nonprofits. What they've each asked for is the top number, and what they were granted is the bottom number. Funding that is allocated is not a grant, but a contract for services. The total requested funding this year was $131,260. As a reminder, council has the final say in the division of these funds. The contracts for services will be on the regular council meeting agenda for June 6th. Health and Human Services Commission is here tonight. Chairman Mitchell is here to provide more detailed reports.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So we had 6 agencies that applied. One was a first-time funding request. I'll just kind of briefly go through each of these areas and what each individual request was and how we arrived at the decision that we made as a board. I'll start with one of the easier ones, which was Horizon. They had a request for $7,060, which was fully funded. Requested because it was a one-off project to provide lights for Earth Heart Park, which is going to allow them to do different events at night, improve public safety, and also night gardening, which I believe is something that they would like to do, and they've been doing right now with like rudimentary lighting systems. So this will enable them to have better services there. I think it's a good project in the sense that it's either an all or nothing thing. So that's why we receive full funding. Either we're going to do it or not do it. There was no other source of funding for Horizon for this particular type of thing. Doesn't fit their normal nonprofit operation. And it's the type of project that is not going to come up every single year. We do it, it's done, and it's a benefit to the community from that point forward. Next, we have the Superstition Food Bank. They requested $50,000 in funding. We came to a consensus on $35,000. Pretty simple, just for food. But if you haven't heard already, they do check to see that the food is going to our residents. They have a pretty strenuous process to make sure people aren't coming every day. They make sure that they have mail from the city and addresses that fall under our area. So the money that we provide is going to feed our people. Food costs have also gone up pretty significantly, so this is a pretty important area for us. The next one we'll talk about is Genesis Project. Request was for $22,800. We came to the consensus of $20,000. This includes the funding for the rent utilities, which we've done in years past, but also the navigator position that we funded last year. There was a lot of really positive stories about the navigator position, helping people get their benefits through access. Also ID cards and things that others would not normally be able to get, we've been able to get. So I would say it helps the unsheltered population more than any other in our town, but it's definitely a very important service. The fourth one is our fourth applicant, the first time funding request from Other Side Ministries. They had requested $10,000. We came to the consensus of $7,256. That odd number would cover all of the costs to provide their program, which provides employment, teaching culinary skills to residents, and that includes the cost of knives, chef's uniforms, other items that they needed for cooking demonstrations and things that they're doing to teach those that are going through that program. Finally, next we have AJCDC. The request was for 6,400. We were able to come to a consensus on 5,010, which was enough to cover their insurance and their dump fees. Insurance for all of the volunteers that do Make a Difference Day and other events throughout the year, which is pretty important. They work with code compliance, and for people who need help, they're there to provide services like cleaning properties and helping people stay within code. So it's a very important service to the city. And we have the Boys and Girls Club of the Valley requesting $35,000 for different programs like teaching and with the kids. We were able to award $5,674. This mainly was lower because we believe they have other sources of funding available to them. They presented to the board and were able to talk about how they had funding that came from the NFL this year. They have a pretty successful fundraiser that raised over $100,000. Other nonprofits don't have the ability to do that, so we wanted to give them something to acknowledge that request, but also it was not as much as the other organizations. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions about any of these organizations that presented or anything about the process.
Any questions?
I have one. The Other Side Ministries, where are they getting their people that are coming in for the culinary education? Are they from here?
Well, we actually have a representative from Other Side Ministries. I'll let them talk about how they specifically will get them.
I don't know.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Councilman. We receive our students from other local nonprofits, whether it be from other churches or from other people who work trying to restart their lives. We get them from Genesis, from Horizon Health, within this community.
Your Honor?
More explanation, if that's okay. So the main mission of Other Side Ministries is it's a culinary course where we take at-risk individuals, unsheltered individuals, and give them the tools and the training that they need to get a job in the culinary industry and the restaurant industry. That we help them. We also teach life skills, budgeting, all of that sort of thing. We help them with resume writing. We help them acquire those positions in the restaurant industry as well. Basically, the idea is to help them get a job so they can help themselves get out of the situation that they're in.
How long is that training?
We run a 4-week basic class, initial class. The idea, again, is we get them food handler's card. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. We get them a food handler's card. We teach them the basic skills they need to get their foot in the door into a restaurant, probably a position in a dish pit, maybe a prep cook, something along those lines. If they stay in the industry for 6 months, we have an advanced course that they can come back to, and we actually teach them the skills to work on a line at that point in time.
Thank you very much.
Your
We
Honor.
also have a catering company that operates out of Apache Junction and serves the community at large, and they can learn as they earn, so they actually earn a salary while we train them and get a broaden what they can learn and what they can do.
Thank you.
And just one quick question. So what's your success rate? I mean, I know it can be difficult. You find a person that expresses interest, but how many actually follow all the way through and begin to?
Of those that graduate, we place, every one of them has worked for us for the catering company, so they all have had catering experience or restaurant experience. In Apache Junction specifically, we're at about 80% success rate, so 8 out of 10 people get working in the industry.
The class is free of charge to the students. There's absolutely no cost to the students. Our fundraising, the catering arm is a fundraising arm for what we do. And then obviously we take support from individuals and cities and that sort of thing. But the idea again is that there's no cost to them. However, we do require their commitment to the course up front. They have to write an essay that tells us, why they want to be a part of the program. There is an interview process. So we're asking them, they don't have to put any money up, but we're asking for their commitment to make it all the way through the course.
Gentlemen, a question. Are all of these people required to be residents of Apache Junction?
They don't have to be residents of Apache Junction, but part of the program, because it's taught in Apache Junction, the way that they pay for the free program is they volunteer with us at Genesis, so they give back to the Apache Junction community, and we also find them work. Most of people who work here of our students here we've placed at work in Apache Junction. So the goal of it is to support the city, the community.
Your Honor. Is this a church that has taken on the responsibility of teaching trades to?
No, sir. I know the ministry part of it sounds like it is a church. We're actually started as a nonprofit. We started originally in Phoenix, serving the homeless, cooking meals, and we kind of grew from there. And eventually, right around COVID, May of 2019, we came here and developed a relationship with Genesis Project and actually have an office at Genesis and work hand in hand with them.
So that brings me to my next question. So what turned you guys onto this program? Was it Genesis?
I've been a chef for 30 plus years.
No, this program here with this funding.
Oh, we've been in Apache Junction since 2019.
This is the first time you've applied for this. But I'm
Correct.
just wondering what said, hey, wait a minute, there's a road here to some
Well,
funds.
we've established ourselves in the community. When we first came in 2019, we were doing outreach. There wasn't really an opportunity to do the class. We weren't sure if we were going to be able to do the class again with COVID and what was going on. So we established ourselves serving and doing outreach twice a month. I had the opportunity with working with them to become a navigator within Genesis to the community that I volunteered doing and just got involved. And we slowly, at the time, we were based in Mesa, but we've slowly grown into this community and gotten established and worked with many of the local nonprofits and felt we were at that level where it was time to, advance a little, that we had something to present, I guess.
So I guess, only six institutions applied for this. So it's kind of like our best kept secret in a way, because here we are giving out free funding to these places, and there's all kinds all around the city, but very few apply. That's why I'm just curious, what turned you on to this program that makes you apply for this program?
I'm part of the committee for homelessness and Apache Junction, working at Genesis Project. I've also worked with the food bank. I've spoke at Rotary. So I've known many people in the community, and when it's come up before, we've known about it, but we haven't pursued it. But now we feel we're at a place where, we can pursue it and we want to take it to that next level.
Sure. So maybe to introduce ourselves, so Jason Taylor is Executive Director of Other Side Ministries. He is a trained culinary or classically trained chef and a minister. My name is Neil Lanuer. I'm his board president. I came on board with Other Side Ministries last year. They were really recovering, like so many others, from COVID and what it had done to the mission, the main mission of Other Side Ministries to teach this class. We worked really hard over the last year to position ourselves so that we can really get into the community and offer this class and present that to the people of the community. So this is one of the reasons why it's the first time that we've ever asked for funds, because we're in a position to actually do something with it.
Is culinary the only trade you teach there?
It is.
So that's you. That's your nucleus. You are a place that you teach vocational skills of culinary arts.
Correct. And the program is based off of when I attended Scottsdale Culinary Institute when I received my degree. So it's based loosely on that. But a lot of that, the basics of what people need to get working and get started in the industry.
Okay, thanks.
Your Honor, one more question. How many people are you graduating? You said 80% of your students are getting jobs, but how many a year are you?
We've had, as we've reestablished, we've reevaluated how we're doing the program. So we've had 30 total students. Of those, was that 80%, about 26 that are in the industry. Over 30 have worked for us. There's members who didn't go through our program that are part of the low-income, unhoused community that have worked for us for events. But we chose last year, in the process of preparing for this, to kind of take a step back and reevaluate the program and add some life skills to it, some budgeting, some things that people need that we noticed were missing when we got them working.
Thank you.
Your Honor. Yes.
I ran into these guys a couple years ago down at the Food Truck Fridays and on Saturday. And listened to a presentation, got some food from some of the kids or young men that were learning the trade. And it really hit home that there's a group like this actually making a difference in getting people something that they actually can use. And so I thought it was a great idea and a great concept, and kind of believe in it. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay.
Your Honor, Mayor?
Yes.
Hey, can I ask Genesis what their long-term plan is? Is it just to feed the homeless, or do they have a strategic plan in place to offer more things for the homeless to try to get them off the street?
So the mission of Genesis Project is to, oh, sorry, I forgot my greeting, Mayor and Council. The mission of Genesis is to feed, clothe, and hydrate the hungry and homeless. Another arm of that is our Community Resource Center. So the ultimate goal for Genesis Project, just as Genesis Project, is to feed, clothe, and hydrate. We also understand that just providing a meal is not going to take individuals to the next step in their journey. So that's why over the years we have partnered with all of the other local organizations to keep the Community Resource Center up and running. So the Community Resource Center is where we provide all of the additional resources to individuals that come to Genesis Project. These are not just homeless individuals. These are the abject poor in our community as well. So we are connecting people to housing resources, job resources, benefit resources, all of the things that they need to continue on the journey. So the goal of Genesis is to serve 0 meals. We would like to see hunger and insecurity ended. We would like to see no homeless people coming to Genesis Project. When you run an organization like Genesis Project, the goal is not growth, but decrease. And so that is what the overall goal is. We recently partnered with another local nonprofit, and we're able to assist them with 15 referrals for unhoused individuals to receive a housing voucher, and they are now working with a housing locator to find landlords that are willing to accept that voucher and get them out of homelessness.
Your Honor, do you have you have a success rate? I mean, did you keep track of how many things that actually, the things you've done that actually turned out?
Yeah, we keep record of all contact that we make as far as the resource center goes. A lot of what we do, because we're not a housing agency, we're getting people paperwork ready. So when you're applying for housing and you're applying for vouchers or those kind of things, you need to be paperwork ready. So you need to have your birth certificate, your social security card, your ID. You need your letter from Social Security that tells you how much you're making. You need all of these things. When you're coming from a situation where your main focus is basic survival, getting 4 documents together is almost insurmountable. And so we take them into the process of getting all of those documents ready so that when we hand them over to an agency that's able to provide housing vouchers and those things, they're paperwork ready. If a person is on a list and they're waiting for their name to come up for that housing assistance, their name comes up and they're not paperwork ready, it's done. And so we take them as far as we can in the journey prior to getting into housing.
And one more question. Surely it's just not the homeless you serve. I mean, there are
absolutely not.
there are families out there that just are struggling. They need to eat or
Yes.
have some food. Okay.
Yeah, so Genesis is a no questions asked organization, so we do not, when people come up to the window and are hungry, we don't ask them, are you housed, are you homeless, why are you here, what led you to be in a soup kitchen line? We do use other, not statistics, what's the word I'm looking for? Other ways of kind of determining that. I just did a spring guest survey, so we were able to have an anonymous survey of how are we doing, what can we do to improve, are you housed, are you homeless, or what's your age range that. We also are the lead organization for the pit count every year, and so we collect those demographics for the pit count, the point-in-time count, which is an annual census of those experiencing homelessness on one certain night of the year. So based on that, I can tell you that about 60% of the people we serve at Genesis are the housed elderly. About 40% are what we would call literally homeless.
And one last, someone else may have questions, just one more. Have you gotten together with Earth Park Garden for fruits and vegetables and things like that?
Have we done? I'm
Like
sorry.
gotten together, over there right behind you is the garden, the community garden. Have you collaborated with these guys and getting some fruits and vegetables from them?
We have not collaborated to get fruits and vegetables. We collaborate on every other service
Would
that
you
they
like to?
offer over there. Absolutely.
I'll get you in touch with them.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we love fresh fruits, veggies, anything we can get. We're part of Grocery Rescue.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes.
do they work with the Veterans Administration and get our homeless veterans as much resources as possible to them?
I'm sorry, I wear hearing aids and I'm having a really hard time with the echo in his voice. Could you repeat what he said?
He was asking whether you have how you are dealing with the homeless veterans, how are you getting their resources?
So homeless veterans in this area are very, very low. I think we counted 4 veterans of the 91 people that were homeless. I work very closely with NCHP, which is a veterans organization. They are actively working with 2 veterans right now to get them into housing, whether it be a HUD-VASH voucher or that. We also work with anyone that declares themselves as a veteran to be able to get in contact with the VA. I'm assisting an individual with getting a copy of his DD 214 right now. Jason's taken people as navigator. He's taken people to their VA appointments. So we do serve veterans in the very best capacity that we can and get them all that they need, but it is a very, very low population.
Your Honor, one of those things is if you would contact both of the VFWs here in town. They each have service officers that you can partner with for their VA benefits.
Yes, we know the VFW well, and they know us well. They're an incredible organization. So yes, we actually have one of the success stories is a veteran that we had referred over there, and he now works for them, and he is in housing, and it's a beautiful thing. So yeah.
I know exactly who you're talking
Yes.
about.
Hey, I have one more question. Do you do an interview with the homeless people to find out where they have come from and how they ended up in Apache Junction? Are we seeing an influx from people from Phoenix now that they're starting to tear down Tent City over there?
Did you catch all that?
I think I caught the gist of it. So no, we do not interview any individual that comes to Genesis. Through building a personalized rapport with them, I do ask, hey, where are you traveling from? How did you come to this area? There is an increase of homeless individuals in Apache Junction. I cannot directly say that any of it is coming from the zone. I can't say that it was specifically from them cleaning up the river bottom in Tempe or the measures that they took in Mesa either. We have people that come from everywhere.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Back to the strategic plan. Do you have a strategic plan laid out that guides you on how you handle the homeless?
So the city of Apache Junction has a strategic plan to end homelessness that I believe we did in 2019. I was part of that committee, and that is being reevaluated with the Apache Junction Homeless Coalition, which I also chair.
Okay, and you work with the police department fairly well on homeless issues because they deal with the homeless a lot, correct?
I am very, very close with the Apache Junction Police Department.
That's all I have for Genesis. I do have one for a community food bank, though, when we get there.
All right.
Think that-
Daryl?
Thank you. In our packet, we have the applications for each person and for each organization that applied. Yours is blank. Why is the Genesis one blank? Do we know?
Please do.
It wasn't blank. What it was is that the web forms are kind of hard to work with, so they sent it to us in a PDF to review. So it wasn't actually, the forms on our city's website were a little difficult to use. They wanted to type more stuff onto the application. So I can attest that we did get that emailed to us as the Health and Human Services Board, and they did have a full application.
Yeah, on the screen, it's completely filled out. On our tablets, it's blank.
Yeah, so maybe
Matt,
this,
is there a way that you could get that to us somehow, please?
Yes, we can get it to you.
Mr. Mayor, I had
Yes.
just one question. Obviously, one of the concerns I think we all have is with some of our homeless is behavioral issues. You know, and when I've been out riding in the desert, I've had some issues with some of the behaviors. Are you in a position that if you identify someone that has a concern, you have a concern about their behavior, that you can direct them to the appropriate entity that can help?
Oh, absolutely. And so ironically, I have been with Genesis for 12 years, and I know most of the individuals are homeless guests and are housed as well on a personal level. So when I hear there's misbehavior, I will go to the person directly. So not only do I address it at the root source of, you know, I saw so-and-so, this is what was happening, can you help me with this? And then also, if it needs to be taken to the next level, I can definitely direct anybody to the agency that would assist them with that. A lot of people are confused that anywhere within, let's say, 10 square miles of this building right here is Apache Junction Police Department's responsibility. They tend to get frustrated if, you know, well, but we have BLM land, we have the Forest Service land, we've got all this land around us, we've got county islands. So yeah, I also work with Ranger Matt Northcutt with the BLM. I've been out on ride-alongs with him. So yeah, I'm well aware of the other agencies and their leadership and work with them.
Good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I got one quick question for him, really fast. Just because this means something to me, you mentioned that the Horizon, that money is specifically designated for the garden?
Exactly. It's specifically for the lighting at the Earth Heart Park.
Because, I mean, Councilmember Evans, can I still call you that? I mean, is it kind of like the mayor thing, governor? Yeah, well, we got that ball rolling over there a couple years ago, and it's nice to see how it's taken off, and I'm really happy to see that they're getting some funding to help keep up.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because their budget is pretty vast. I mean, when I looked at the paperwork, it was like $37 million. I'm like, okay, but why can't we do this? That was my first question to Horizon. They said it's for all the services that they entail, everything that they're doing with that. So they have no budget to do a project like this one for Earth Heart Park. So that's why they're coming to the city.
Yeah,
which
I
is
think
what,
this was a let's see if this works, right? And so, and it's
Yeah.
working.
Well, I
think it's
noticed
working really well.
that they had applied in years past before I was on Health and Human Services Board, so it's not like they're a first-time requester of funds from the city. And then specifically with this particular project, it's a one-off. It's not the kind of thing that's going to require them to appear every year. And I did ask that question. I did not ask about the safety statistics of what they expect to be improved or whatever by the lighting, but I know it's going to be a benefit based on the events and the night gardening and things like that.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question for Jeff.
Yep.
So Jeff, there were 2 organizations that did not apply. Now, it works out well because there are only 6, then we could divide up the money in a little more effective manner. Is there a reason that you know of why those 2 did not apply?
Are you referring
Thinking more about
to?
CAFA.
Yeah, so on this chart, New Leaf and Salvation Army. I believe with New Leaf, and again, Dana Martinez is the director there, so I'm maybe speaking out of turn, but I know that they had a lot of different initiatives that had started. Previously, as CAFA, they transitioned to New Leaf, so they have a lot of different resources even outside of the city of AJ. Read somewhere that they received like $1 million in funding from something, so they probably didn't need to approach Apache Junction for what they're doing here. That would be my assumption. I know in years past, last year they applied for the hotel nights. I thought they were going to do the same thing and apply for that for the domestic violence victims to come for, but they did not request it. Salvation Army, I believe that was more due to Captain Darla Malone and what she's been going through there, like just kind of getting things in order. In years past, they applied for the swamp coolers and for the food delivery program, and they did not approach us this year that we're aware of, so.
All right, thank you. And it was mostly with Catholic, and my concern was exactly what you just described, which is with they're emerging with New Leaf.
Yes.
You know, New Leaf's getting involved in low-income housing. I mean, they're doing a lot of stuff, so
Yep.
I'm not sure how involved and committed they are to this city. So I'm glad that they didn't apply, and I would hope that
Yeah, and
in
I,
the future,
again,
there'd be reason to question their submittal.
yeah, and I think if they see an application in the future, that's one thing I'll keep in mind, to ask Dana as to why they're approaching and to make sure that there's that commitment
Yep.
to making sure the money stays in AJ
Absolutely.
for the benefit of AJ residents.
That's the key. Yep.
Yep.
Thanks, Jeff.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Jeff, I want to first thank you for doing the job you've been doing with Health and Human Services. I think you're doing a fantastic job. I will never try to second guess you or anybody else of how you divvy up this money. You know, I heard that comment made, you know, that if we need to vote some other way, so I would never do that to this board. My question to you, though, comes down to, we haven't increased this amount of money for I don't know how many years. Since you're working with directly with these agencies that are coming to you and asking with different reasons why they need this money, is what we're offering them adequate, an amount, or is it time that we seriously look at maybe increasing that amount?
I would love it if there was a way to find opportunity in the budget to increase it. And I say that because it's tough to make these cuts. And last year, we even had to make more than $51,260 of cuts. But the requests come in and, you know, everybody's got a strong case. And we want to fund everybody fully because that's going to benefit our community hands-on. You know, I don't know the benefit of that versus fixing a few potholes or turning a few more streetlights up. You know, I don't know where that money comes from on the budgetary level. But I think that this program in particular is what we need to see more of, because I think people are tired of seeing people holding signs on street corners. People are tired of seeing people that are hurting. And, you know, we know that the cost of food is going up so much. We know that the costs are going up across the board for a lot of what these organizations are addressing. So if there is a way, yeah, I think it'd be amazing. But, you know, again, that's above my pay grade, so to speak. So.
Thank you.
Okay, Brian.
Yeah, back to the food bank. My question is on the food bank is they're asking for 50 and we're giving them 35. Have we seen a major increase in how much food that the food bank is giving out and a greater need for maybe more money for the food bank if we have more people needing food?
So good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. My name is Eric. I'm the Executive Director for the Superstition Community Food Bank. To address the question that was just asked, funding during COVID was pretty plentiful to food banks throughout the nation. They came up with money because they knew people weren't working, and the food banks across the nation were given huge grants. I mean, to the tune that the Superstition Community Food Bank got a grant for $100,000 that we had to use in that 2-year period. We expanded the building, we expanded some freezer space, some refrigeration space that was needed immensely. We had been working with the same fridges and freezers since 1991. And so those grants were used for that purpose. All that funding nationwide has dried up now. So even funding that we got through the Arizona Food Bank Network has dried up. With that, cost of living has gone up for everyone, including food, including our basic needs like health care and gas and electricity and utilities, and everything has gone up. At the food bank, we try to stay in our lane and work with just giving people food. that gives people the opportunity to not have to spend funds on food and to spend it on things like housing, staying in their house, paying their car, getting to work with gas. So our lane is food, and unfortunately, that's part of the increase that we've seen nationwide with, all the costs going up. So our costs to purchase food have gone up. We've had food drives like we normally do. If you were spending $20 to give groceries to your child's food drive at school, that $20 isn't going as far as it used to. So maybe we used to get 10 cans of food, now we're getting 6 cans of food on that same 20 bucks. So the donations coming into the food bank are less through these food drives. People are still having them. We're grateful that people are still hosting food drives, but the yield is less because people are spending that same $20, $30 to get food for the food drive, and it's just not yielding as much as it used to. So we're in a situation where we're not getting as much food through donations, and and when we purchase it, it's more expensive to buy now. Funding has dried up as far as grants are concerned, through Feeding America and through the Arizona Food Bank Network. So that's why we asked for $50,000. To date, since last July, we've spent about $68,000 on food purchases. So I said, hey, let's see if AJ can give us $50,000. We landed at 35. We are grateful for whatever you give us. We will make it work. But we're solely just asking for money to purchase food.
Greg, how much of an increase in need have you seen? I know it's gone up.
So year after year, our numbers fluctuate. It really hasn't moved. The numbers have stayed the same for the last 2 years. The demographic has changed. So our senior population, because they're on the fixed income and they aren't getting any help with the recession, our senior demographic has increased. It used to be about 22%. Now it's closer to 27% of our overall numbers are 60 and above. And then 33% of our food given out is to children 0 to 18. So whereas our numbers haven't gone crazy up, our demographic has switched. So we're seeing a lot of seniors and a lot more children that we're giving food to.
Mayor, is there a way that we can readjust that number and see if we can give them more money to help out the people that need food?
Bryant?
Yeah.
We just adopted the tentative budget. This information would have been really great in preparing the budget.
The key word here is
So in
tentative.
January, and is outlined by city code, now, we ask as part of Jennifer's process, Evie's process, as we go through this code outline, is to allow, and I asked, do we want to start looking at the 80,000 being more costs, all these things, and the time council said no. So we started that with the budget process. We have contingency, so the answer to that is yes. We can.
Okay. I just don't want, if we can help it, not have people, going hungry,
Well, it's not,
especially our seniors.
not that we will, but we could swap around these numbers.
For sure, you could swap these and or use contingency.
Okay. That answers my question. Thank you, sir.
Your Honor.
Yeah, maybe if you do have a desire to change, it would be good to hear that now so that we could be ready for final adoption.
Your Honor, I do
I-
notice it's been since 2019.
Yeah, I'm kind of in line with Tess in that somehow it'd be nice if we could increase
Well, that's what I was
what
gonna,
we put out and to make the changes,
Prorated.
well, even on
Well-
here right now, to take from one and give to the other wouldn't be fair to those people that have already received these numbers and are accepting of them. But, I mean, if there's a little bit of contingency money to where we could maybe boost that a little bit, that would be great. Another thought is if we could do a great big fundraiser type deal like we did for the Boys and Girls Club. I know that they made quite a bit with the banquet that they held. If there's something that could be done like that, Jeff. You know how that thing went down. It's a great time, and a lot of money was made.
It was amazing, but to my understanding, that is a 25-year process to get it to that level.
Daryl,
Exactly.
Daryl, it took us 25 years to get to those figures, and that's a year-long process to get that done,
I realize,
that we do every year.
I realize that. And
know
that's another avenue.
For the other
we talked-
nonprofits too, they are doing fundraisers as well. I mean, I attended a gala for Other Side Ministries, and it was tremendous, but not on the scale, you know? It does take that year in, year out involvement before you have that kind of a commitment. So it's not that they're not trying, you know, for other sources of funding. They definitely are. It's just that, you know, this is what we have.
That's where I suggested, I think we really need to seriously look at increasing this amount, because that 80,000 hasn't, I don't remember what it's been over the years, but it hasn't increased for a long time.
I feel like if we're gonna do it, let's 24, 25 budget. Let's not start digging into things now and opening up.
Because I agree, I think we should do it, but I think we shouldn't look at target just one organization. If we're gonna do this, I think we look at all of them and then plan that in the future.
We definitely could take that direction and get that in, and then it allows for you to work through the Health and Human Services Committee. You'll see for fiscal year 12, 13, 13, 14, 14, 15, 15, 16, 16, 17, a group called the East Valley Adult Resources for Apache Junction. During those years, the council budgeted $100,000. Starting in 17, 18, that group said they would not provide those services. So what we did is we budget for that now to carry out senior transportation services in the Parks and Rec budget. So I would say that you have the 80,000 that hasn't been raised since that 19 timeframe, true. And we've also spent taxpayer dollars of 100,000 or 110 or whatever. It's actually probably more like 130,000 now to provide those services. So that's one little thing you just need to know from that standpoint. We have those services, we're covering those services. We will definitely, as we work through the budget process in January, so when the code comes up again, and I'm seeing Jeff shake his head that you guys could work through that process. We have the beginnings of the application start again, working through the Health and Human Services. We will come to City Council, do a work session, and get some direction, clarification on what you want for the fiscal year 24-25, and then we can increase it then, or whatever the direction is does at that point.
You know,
I like that
I'd be
idea.
concerned about committing contingency dollars in this new fiscal year before we've even hit that yet. I mean, God knows.
Absolutely.
God knows what we could be running into, so I'd rather if ones that we know we'd like to do it, officially put that and make it a workable number in the 24, 25.
Agreed.
With this being my third year on the Health and Human Services Board, second as chair, I can tell you every year it hurts when you have to look at all the things that we're kind of cutting out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, any input that we can provide, we'd love to do so as well in that process.
I have another question. Jeff, regarding all the different organizations out there that are helping our not only our homeless, but those that are currently on the edge of becoming homeless, do we have, how much more need is there out there for those people that, if their car broke down tomorrow, they're out of a job and they're on the street in 2 weeks?
It's kind of a rough life. I mean, I've seen a lot because I also attend the Coalition to End Homelessness that we have. It meets on the first Thursday at the Multi-Gen Center. And we have representatives from the police there. We have representatives from the agencies that are serving our community there. And we get a chance to really see the day-to-day stuff, at least on a monthly basis. Also, doing the pit count, which is the point-in-time count. I'll go out as one of the people. Trinity's got the base of operations with Genesis, but I drive around town and hit the different camps and things to hand out those surveys and interview people that are going through those situations. And it's really a struggle. It's things that we don't think about, like your phone dies and then you don't know where to charge it, and then you do the internet, then your car is broken so you can't get to over here, and then your laundry needs to get done. And, there's so many things that's like that you have to think about that when you're housed, you just don't. And so it's not always And I hope, nothing to say the perception, like what Councilman Soller said, with them all coming from Phoenix, because sometimes it happens to local residents where somebody had a medical issue, couldn't pay the rent, and now they're living in their van. Because I've seen and talked to people like that during the pit count. So I think there is a need, and the pit count numbers show that we've had over 100 during those week-long counts, 2 years in a row. So there's a lot, and the agencies are doing their best to address the problem from a variety of different angles. We haven't solved it, but I think that, progress is made, and I think that, funds certainly help.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I guess I can adjourn.
Mayor?
Yes.
Hey, I just wanted to let everybody know I'm back in Washington, D.C. for National Police Week. Today is, May 15th is National Police Day, and it was my honor to have a wreath placed at the memorial for fallen Apache Junction officer Ryan Duncan, and I took some photos and sent them to the chief. And back there representing all law enforcement officers that have fallen across not only Arizona but the nation. So just wanted to let you know and say a special prayer tonight for the families of the fallen officers. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you very much.